Gavin Newsom, if you're listening to this, you're a failure. Mayors are actually some of the most powerful people in the country. The police are responsive to the mayor. The building code's responsible to the mayor. The homeless, mayors are very, very powerful. So he was mayor of San Francisco. Would you let your son walk the streets of San Francisco unaccompanied at 1 a.m.? No, you wouldn't. I'm sorry. Your son can't walk the streets of the city that you were in charge of. You're a disgrace. Gavin Newsom, you just want political power. You have no guiding beliefs at all. Just leave the Democrat Party. That's my advice to him. If you really want to be in elected office that bad, just leave the Democrat Party and just go run as a moderate Republican. And just
Charlie Kirk just dropped a political bomb on Gavin Newsom, and this time it has nothing to do with his hair gel obsession. What he exposed looks more like the hypocrisy Olympics, with a plot twist so unbelievable even Netflix would call it unrealistic. If you thought Newsom was only the governor of California, think again, because Charlie just painted him as the face of do as I say, not as I do. And trust me, this one's messier than a vegan trying to survive at a Texas BBQ.
Really even sure what I was going into, right? Because at the front end, it was like, hey, there'll be no, gotcha questions. It'll just be a discussion, which was largely true. And secondly, when you arrive and they tell you all this stuff, they're like, oh, his son is a fan and all that. It was so over the top, charm offensive. I was like, are you going to want to become a member of Turning Point or something, Governor Newsom? It was it was almost nauseatingly positive, right? Mm-hmm. That in that way, it was very difficult to navigate. I will say, if you look at Gavin Newsom's numbers, there's a Newsweek article, though. His numbers are down dramatically as far as favorability, trust, authenticity.
If you're enjoying this, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It really helps more than you know. Charlie Kirk just cracked open the perfectly polished vault that is Gavin Newsom's political career. And let's be honest, it reeks of overpriced haircuts, recycled hypocrisy, and a dash of Chardonnay elitism. Basically, the classic California mix. For years, Gavin Newsom has walked the national stage like he's posing for a GQ cover on how to look presidential while your own state crumbles behind you.
One of the things we saw in the last couple of years that the Democrats completely ignored, and your side was basically not acknowledging was happening, was the crisis that young people were experiencing.
Right.
It's the first time in America's history that a 30-year-old is going to have it worse off than their parents.
Right.
It's a breakdown of the social compact.
That's right.
They are the most alcohol addicted, most drug addicted, most suicidal, most depressed, most medicated generation in history.
Right.
And the message that was largely being fed to a lot of young people was lower your expectations. You're not going to have the same American dream that your parents would have.
Mm-hmm.
And with Kirk, he just lit up the stadium lights and the cracks are wider than California's potholes. Here's the reality. Newsom doesn't really govern, he performs. It's all smoke, mirrors, and just enough hair gel to block both sunlight and responsibility. California is his stage, the media is his crowd, and Gavin? He's the guy shouting his own applause through a megaphone while the orchestra behind him is burning down.
Yeah, I hope you guys retreat.
Yeah, you kind of like the
more
advice.
For us.
You like the advice.
There's no opposition. There's no activist spark. You guys are posting these cringe videos on social media.
What are the videos? What are the ones that
I don't
are
know,
most
this
cringy?
harmonious thing of 22 senators all saying the same
You
thing.
didn't like that, yeah.
I didn't like it. Go ahead, go do more of that.
What do you do?
Please.
What do you do? Seriously, Charlie Kirk, give us some.
First, let's talk about the dinner. Yes, that dinner, the French Laundry, where the wine is older than most TikTok stars and the meals come with a side of arrogance. While Californians were banned from seeing their families, Newsom was knee-deep in truffle oil and Wagyu beef, maskless and soaking up the elite glow of fine dining. Meanwhile, small businesses were closing, churches were locked, and kids were logging into kindergarten Zoom classes from the back seat of Wi-Fi minivans outside. Starbucks.
5 months into the President Trump's presidency, and a lot of Democrats will state, oh, he's doing this wrong and this. The gas prices are still up. The food is still up. When do you think we will see change?
Well, gas prices in California are up. Actually, across the country, they're going down dramatically.
Okay.
One of the reasons is that Gavin Newsom and Democrats have intentionally done this.
Boo.
The way that, again, it's a little wonky, but it's a refinery issue. You guys have made a decision here in this state to have intentionally high gas prices. And because of that, your leaders here in California, they basically almost wanted to make it impossible to own a petroleum-based, petroleum-fired vehicle. And we want to try to bring gas prices down for all Americans. One of the reasons why I hope that you guys get a new governor.
The governor was out there sampling foie gras in a $12,000 suit like it was just another Tuesday. Charlie Kirk didn't miss. He called it out plain and simple. Newsom isn't just tone deaf. He's conducting a full orchestra of hypocrisy. While he tells everyone else to sacrifice, he's sipping his third glass of Napa's finest with lobbyists who treat ethics like a garnish. And it only gets worse from there. You'd think after that PR disaster, Newsom might pause, reflect, maybe even try governing. But nope, he doubled down. Crime is climbing, quality of life is sinking, and the only thing falling faster than LA real estate is voter patience. And yet, Newsom's found himself a new side project pretending he's not running for president while doing everything a man running for president would do. He may as well have 2028 stamped on his forehead. He's on national TV more than local mayors, debating governors of other states like he's stockpiling campaign tokens, and somehow, in between failing infrastructure and ballooning deficits, he still carves out time to practice his serious face for Vanity Fair.
My view of him is actually the same, which is this is a guy that wants to be president more than any other human being, I think, currently alive. And it looks as if he's trying to be on the popular edge or the popular side of the issues right now. The one that's making the most headlines, obviously, is biological men in women's sports. And he said he totally agrees with me, and that's a direct quote.
Were you surprised by that?
I was a little taken aback. I anticipate a little bit more of a politician answer. We'll see if he actually follows up that rhetoric with action, like an executive order, or trying to champion the state bill that will prohibit biological men.
Charlie Kirk's point is clear: Newsom isn't leading California. He's using it as his personal political runway. One day it's a homelessness showcase. The next it's loud talk about taxing the rich, all while quietly cutting deals with the same corporations he pretends to fight. He's like Robin Hood if Robin Hood stole from the poor and handed it all to Google. And then there's education. California spends more per student than some countries spend on their entire military, yet kids are graduating without knowing how to read a map, write in cursive, or even define the word governor. Under Newsom, California feels less like a functioning state and more like a trial run for top-down control dressed up as progress. It's not about ending homelessness, it's about funding it. It's not about green energy, it's about green theater. Residents still face rolling blackouts, only now they come with a side of wind-powered moral superiority.
Diversity. We have people that, geez, they want to go to war with every country that says something bad against us. And then we have people that are far more dovish, like Rand Paul. But that is a better, more, dare I say, diverse picture. You could say diversity is our strength.
The way he finished it. You can say diversity. By the way, he was about to react to it, and I can't see what he does next. But no, I mean, look, I'm so happy that Governor Newsom decided to have Charlie Kirk on, that we got a chance to see this. Good for him. I think this is actually good. Look, don't get me wrong. I can say all this stuff about the fires and California, net migration, all this stuff. But for him to have the audacity to invite Charlie on, gotta respect it. It made...
And still, the media swoons every time he flashes that polished grin. Hair flawless, check. Catchphrases locked and loaded, check. Crisis? Just blame climate change, income inequality, or whatever hashtag is trending that day. Accountability? That's for other governors, especially the red ones. Kirk drove the point home. Newsom's brand is pure political cosplay. He's not governing. He's auditioning, rehearsing for a presidency that doesn't exist yet. And it isn't just ambition, it borders on delusion. California is losing residents, businesses, and patience. But Gavin's too busy mentally hanging drapes in a White House office he hasn't been invited into. The comedy writes itself. He even bragged about California as a model for America. A model of broken policies, elite hypocrisy, and a non-stop campaign disguised as leadership. And the wild part? Newsom doesn't even bother hiding it anymore, because he knows the media will cover for him. He could tax people for smiling and the press would call it visionary.
Fuck Gavin or Newsom. The hell?
Oh, no.
The hell is... who's a better
first of all,
actor? I'm not sure. They're both up for an award.
I was watching him on MSNBC. He's got a new hand motion. I was going to text him. It's this. It's got usually it's kind of this, and then he's doing this. He was doing this thing on MSNBC. He's doing this whole thing. Look, he is the fakest person I think I've ever met in my entire life. So synthetic, and honestly, that's very dangerous, incredibly dangerous. He's the type of person that could just stare at you oh yeah, I voted for Trump, and just pass a lie detector test. that is very, very dangerous. Just stone cold, just no inhibitions whatsoever when it comes to deceit or lying or...
Don't forget the crime stats, smash and grabs in luxury stores, open-air thefts like it's a Black Friday sale without the lines. Law enforcement is told to stand down while businesses scramble to install panic buttons. And Gavin? He's too busy explaining why it's somehow your fault for not understanding systemic theft. Meanwhile, he jets off to other states to lecture their governors on leadership like the guy whose house is burning down but keeps knocking on neighbors' doors to give landscaping tips. It'd be funny if it weren't so wildly insulting. Kirk didn't hold back. He connected the dots and showed that Newsom's disaster-class governance isn't an accident, it's a blueprint. A PR machine cranked up to 11. Charlie Kirk peels back the polished veneer and reveals something far more dystopian, a politician selling freedom on the campaign trail while quietly wiring a control panel in your living room. Kirk lays it out like a magician exposing another. Magicians trick the ideological bait and switch. On the surface, it's all about compassion, equity, and progress.
He does not listen, ever. Maybe, is this the tipping point for him? Did you get the feeling he really wants to change?
I don't know. I think he wants to be president, Sean, more than anything else on the planet. I think you can agree he has more political ambition than almost anybody in the Democrat Party. And I think he understands that the entire country is moving center-right and is accelerating at a rapid pace. In fact, we are course-correcting after 4 failed years under Joe Biden and all of the woke stuff and the anti-common sense movement. Gavin Newsom had me on his podcast, and I was shocked all of a sudden where he decided to diverge away from the orthodox opinion in the Democrat Party, which is as simple as saying that it's not fair that a biological man can compete.
And when you look past the press conferences, what's really there? Forced compliance, rights handed out on a selective basis, and a style of leadership that feels less like West Coast freedom and more like Westworld control. Behind the polished smile and recycled TED Talk speeches about unity is a carefully laid blueprint for centralizing power, one city ordinance at a time. Parents who speak out at school board meetings are branded as threats. Prosecutors who actually enforce the law are replaced with ones who treat accountability like it belongs in a museum. And the economy gets reshaped into a system where your freedoms are stripped, rebranded as safety, and handed back in the form of a QR code that tracks your every move. Charlie's warning is clear. It isn't just about Gavin himself. It's about the model, the California template. Feel good, look polished, silence dissent quietly, and sneak it into national politics disguised as progress, like a glitter-covered Trojan horse. Again,
Charlie Kirk just straight grilling Gavin Newsom in the new podcast they just dropped. This is history in the making. You've never seen anything like this before. Gavin Newsom, the poster child for shitty, authoritarian liberal politics, having an open dialogue with Charlie Kirk, who is the poster child for cringe conservative social media politics. This is insane. And what's even crazier is you can see Gavin Newsom agreeing with some of the logical arguments from.
If the system collapses, instead of fixing the problem, they just rebrand the failure as a feature. Rolling blackouts? That's because they care about the planet. Crime wave? That's equity in action. Kids can't read but can recite every. TikTok gender identity? That's progress. It's like watching someone torch their own house and then shout, "You're welcome," while the neighbors start copying the wiring. And now that California playbook is creeping right up to your front door. Expect the same shiny policies, but none of the consequences printed on the label. The catch? You can't return this product once it wrecks your home. It's like unplugging your fridge to save electricity while it's still stocked with meat because, hey, who needs cold food when you've got moral superiority and a bike helmet? And here's the twist: people actually buy it because it's packaged beautifully. The delivery is slick. The branding is perfect. Newsom isn't selling policy. He's selling vibes. Proof that you can fail on a massive scale as long as you're smiling while the explosion goes off.
Charlie Kirk had an interview with Gavin Newsom. Obviously got my thoughts, but this clip in particular is very telling.
The worst part though, Charlie, no BS, true story. Literally last night, trying to put my son to bed. The worst part though.
You know, this is so indicative. He's trying to run for 2028 presidency, right? And so he's trying to do these interviews. A 13-year-old fan of Charlie Kirk? Yo, we are winning, bro. Like, he's not even in voting age, and it's all in part because of Charlie doing these college tours, interacting with these college students, these young voters. Gen Z, it's conservative. Democrats, y'all be a
But smooth talking doesn't translate into real leadership. It just means dressing up failure until it shines enough to trick people one more time. Charlie's point isn't just that Gavin Newsom is a contradiction in motion, it's that his entire approach is contagious, a kind of vanity politics virus that hides incompetence behind hair gel and hollow slogans. And unless voters stop choosing leaders the same way they pick sneakers by brand and surface style, they'll keep buying the same empty box. Let's be honest, if Gavin weren't in politics, he'd be running a flashy startup that sells bottled air to tech bros. He's got all the Silicon Valley swagger without ever writing a single line of code or backing up a single promise. But he'll flash that smile, call it equity, and maybe drop a Latin phrase or something vaguely Aristotle sounding. The media will nod along, cameras will capture every angle, and meanwhile California will keep crumbling under its own contradictions, led by a governor who mistakes charisma for competence. Charlie Kirk didn't just pull back the curtain on Gavin, he shredded the entire act. The emperor isn't just naked, he's filming a TikTok about how freeing it feels